palmistry reading of a lady, a young girl who is pursuing their career. Before I start this particular video of palmistry, I would request you to press the bell icon on YouTube and don't miss another update. You can call me or you can email me for a reading. And now we straight away head to this particular hand image. Before I start, basically, I wish to tell you a few things, and one of the most important things for a person who is pursuing their career is going to be the little finger. This is the little finger, this is the mercury finger, and this basically represents these particular qualities: business, shrewdness, scientific, oratory, technical skills, quickness in mind. All these things are depicted by this particular finger. And if we have good qualities over this particular area, the chances brighten up for our success. So this is the first thing that I would take up in this particular hand. She's a girl who is basically pursuing her 12th, and we are basically trying to look at her hand. Now what we find out here is that you would notice that there's a very strong kind of a strong line moving from this particular portion towards the area of mercury. Normally very few people might have a line like this. The line basically, it depicts it. What the meaning of this particular line is that the person is sharpening their skills. Sharpening their skills basically means that on a day-to-day basis they are trying to make their skills better and better. So they can choose any line. All the lines are open, be it engineering, medical, oratory, or maybe even IAS or IPS. Passing any exams basically needs good communication, good skills, and good memory. All these things are basically necessary, and this is basically found on the mount of mercury. We are going to be taking a look at the right hand. Generally it is assumed that we should take a look at the left hand of a female, but in my case what I give is I give more importance to the right hand even in the female, because people who are pursuing their career, this area becomes more important. The right hand and this particular area becomes much more important. So having a deep and clear line is an excellent sign, and once we see that, we don't need to see anything else in this particular hand. You have to basically reason out to yourself what basically brings in success. Success comes to people who have skills, who have the skills of communication, who have the skills of any possible thing. It could be a very small thing like a carpentry or a mason, or it could also be a person who is in genetic engineering or the highest possible thing you can imagine. So that's the reason why mercury is important. The second quality that is required, and notice one thing, that these lines are strong lines, and some people might have very weak kind of lines, very weak kind of lines, and wavy and broken kind of lines. Those lines would have no meaning at all. That would mean that the person has not sharpened their skills. It basically means that if a person has not is not sharpening their skills, then the possibility for their success decreases. There's one more thing I need to add out here, that it is not necessary that these strong lines should be present. Only then you are going to be successful. People who do not have even one single line out here, they could be highly successful provided there are no weak lines. Weak lines are these kind of lines that we see, these are extremely weak kind of lines. So we find the lines out here to be extremely strong. The second thing that brings in success is our focus. So for focus, we have to look at the heart line. This is basically the heart line. Again, you would notice that this heart line is very deep and clear and singular. Many people might have, I'm telling you a thing that this lady doesn't have. Some people might have a very hazy kind of a line, like it's an unclear kind of a line, or maybe islanded kind of lines. Those are basically meaning elongated periods of emotional stress or distractions, or these kind of things. Some people might have lots of branches over this particular area, so you have to be careful that people who have these branches, the likelihood of them getting distracted increases. But we don't find those kind of negative indications in this particular lady's hand, this particular girl's hand. We don't find any such indication. So that's an extremely good sign. Generally, people think that we have to look at the money line to know about success, but it is your heart. This is where we find maximum success. People who have a perfect heart line, and we find the heart line to be near to perfect, it means that when stress comes, when anxiety comes, the person is going to manage that anxiety and stress and basically move forward. So this is a beautiful sign to have, having a deep and clear and a singular kind of a line, and it removes all the distractions. People who have got lots of branches over the heart line, lots of distractions, but we don't find those distractions out here. And distractions is the main thing that people basically lose their goal, and they are not able to give their wholehearted thing to one particular cause or a relationship. So on the heart line, we are seeing relationship as well as your how good you're going to be in your work. Both these things, your work as well as personal life, can be seen on your heart line. So this is a perfect kind of heart line. Such a person could be extremely focused, and detachments bring success. Detachment, basically what Gita says, detachment basically means being in the moment without having expectation of the outcome. So this is what she is from inside. So what Gita says that practice detachment, and whoever practices detachment, they can make their life much better. So a perfect indication. The heart line is also ending somewhere close to the Mount of Saturn. So such people, Mount of Saturn basically depicts materialism, it depicts money management, it depicts good management of your resources. It also depicts that how good the person is, the person responsible or not. So because the heart line is ending somewhere out here, the chances increases that these qualities that I've just mentioned increases. So this is a beautiful sign. The other beautiful sign that we find on her line is that this is basically the sun line. So the intersection of the head and the sun line and the heart line, this particular age is 35, this particular age is 53. So this portion of the sun line is before the age of 35. From this portion to this portion, the age is 35 to 53, and from this is 53 onwards, this portion. So there are three sections. So in the initial period, we find that the line starts in a normal and good way, but it kind of ends somewhere before it touches the headline. So some changes are likely to take place somewhere around the age of 33. But before that change happens, another line basically develops, and this line is very, very deep and clear and singular, and is moving, crosses the headline and now touches the heart line, and then it crosses the heart line as well. So whatever she's likely to choose somewhere around the age of approximately 30, that thing is basically going to continue till the age of 50, 56, 57. But in her case, we also find that there's another sun line. This is another sun line, and this is much deeper compared to this particular portion. So our deeper and clearer line basically means that the person is energizing their work. It means energizing their work. Some people might have out here we are finding that that both lines, the latter as well as the earlier period, both these lines are deep and clear. Some people might have very light kind of lines, these kind of lines. Those lines also mean success, but it also means having doubt, and doubts basically never brings in success. Deeper doubts also means these if there were very light kind of lines, it would have depicted that the person is not energizing work. It is like something like deep clouds in your room, and you want to go out of your room, you are unable to go out because you can't find your way. Having light lines means you are not able to find the career you want to choose or what you want to do in your life. But in this particular case, the lines are deep and clear, which means that there are no clouds in the sky, which means that the person knows what they want to do and they are going to be successful in what they basically do. So this is one part. Now we come to the money line. Basically, the money line is good in her hand. It starts on the mount of moon. It starts on the mount of moon. Moon basically means help from male members. It could be father, it could be brother, it could be some foreigner, or working in a foreign country, or working in your own country but in a foreign company. It could also mean benefits coming to this particular person from public appreciation and service industry. So this is the initial period of the line, and as it touches the line of head, it kind of ends on the line of head. So something is going to happen where the career stops somewhere at the age of 35. This is what this particular hand shows. But same, if you notice about the sun line, there was a changeover that is happening. So same changeover is happening on the money line as well. So so the original thing that the person started might end at the age of 35, and a new one develops before the original line ends. So this age is approximately from what point it starts is approximately, this intersection is 35, so this portion could be around the age of 33 or so. That's just an approximate. And this line is very, very stable, deep and clear. It touches the heart line, so it remains stable somewhere till the age of 53, and beyond that there's a little bit weak kind of a line. Then a new line basically develops somewhere at the age of 53 onwards. We find that the line again starts with new vigor, and we find a V or a Y like portion. So see, V doesn't mean victory. V just means V is a good indication that is seen under the fingers. Imagine something like from the fingers energies is penetrating, or light is penetrating from different planets. This is the this is basically these Saturn fingers. So light is, or energies are penetrating from the Saturn, and they are entering the palm. This is basically the palm. They are entering the palm, and as it enters the palm, it basically means they are entering your life. So as it progresses forward, so these are getting accumulated. The whole energy is accumulated somewhere out here. So this period becomes a very, very significant period where we find a very deep and clear V or a Y like portion, and this portion becomes a very, very significant year. So this is going to happen somewhere at the age of probably 50, late 50s. This is somewhere late 50s. So this is another aspect. So money line in itself is perfect. People think that money line can tell everything, but money line doesn't tell everything. It is a combination of your heart line, your mercury line, and everything else on your hand that brings in money, possessions, wealth, all these kind of things, and name and fame, all these kind of things. So generally some people consider the sun line to be the luck line. I don't consider it to be the luck line. It is your own personal efforts or the energizing that you give to your work that brings in your success. So this is one part. The other part, now what we find out is that the money line is perfect. Now we move on to even see the heart line can bring in money because it's ending on the mount of Saturn. Saturn basically makes a person good, responsible, caring, grounded, and knowing the ground situations very well, and more towards money. And now we move on to the other aspect, and that is the lifeline as well as the headline. The headline in itself is deep and clear and singular, and this in itself means a clarity in what the person wants to do, and no unpredictable kind of things are likely to happen. But if we look on her hand very closely, you would find that a small kind of a line is kind of leaning a little bit downwards. So these downward lines could mean a little bit of disappointment, and the age could be somewhere around the age of let's say 20, 20, 23, 24. That's the approximate age. And but at the earlier age, you would find that lines from the lifeline are moving upward towards the mount of Jupiter. They're moving something like this and pointing towards the mount of Jupiter. See, these lines are the lines Jupiter. What Jupiter basically depicts is, Jupiter basically means Jupiter is a big planet. Big planet means growth, expansion in one's life, ambition in one's life, and a belief in one's life. This is also the area of religion. This is also the area of administration, organizational skill, all these kind of skills. So people who have these backward lines rising from the lifeline or the headline, both these are considered to be good. It means that the person is going to be guided by Jupiter. Their life is going to be guided by Jupiter. Jupiter being a big planet means growth in one's life. Their whole life is getting guided by Jupiter, means their whole life is getting, they want a respect, they want honor in their life. So these people basically generally get, the tendency is that they generally get honor constantly. They would get honor in their life. So this is a beautiful sign to have. These upward lines, that lines from the lifeline that you see moving towards the Saturn mount, basically depicts that such people would be lucky during this particular period. And another line moving from this particular period, again luck striking. So this period is likely to be after the age of 35 or so. It could be around the age of 44 or so. From 35 to 44, that period should be extremely good. There's not one money line, but there are multiple money lines out here. You don't need to have multiple money lines in order to be having money, but still, if you have it, it's okay. It's a good sign. And this area basically is the area of Venus. Venus is the area of your desires, and Venus is also the area of your area of grace, beauty, art, music, all these kind of things. And this area is the fuel area. This is the area of your fire area. So and this is basically the lifeline is your engine or your car you are traveling in. So having both these areas good is necessary, because you need to have good health in order to be successful. Without good health, you can't be successful. So having a reasonably good lifeline adds to the success. There's a little bit lines that are coming and crossing, so there could be a little bit of oppositions and all to her, to what she might want to do, some trouble and all. But as the hand quality is good, so we don't basically, we would not basically say that anything bad is going to happen. So everything will be in manageable limits. A little bit bad sign that we see on the hand is in the earlier period of her money line. So this is the money line, and a line from the main money line is coming and going a little bit inside and pointing towards the mount of Mars. The Mars in itself is good for money. It is the planet for wealth, land, properties, and all these kind of things. But this is happening. But a money line going towards the mount of Mars is something like your money going towards fire. So in the earlier period, something is going to happen where the money might get misused, or might not, like they might lose the money in the earlier phase. So this is the earlier phase. But imagine something in a different way. Something like this is your river of money, and a tributary from the main money line is kind of going out, and that too towards the mount of Mars. This basically depicts that money flow is going to be a little bit less, because some water has gone this particular way. It could be the person willingly giving it to somebody, or something or the other. A little bit at a later stage and the earlier stage, you would notice that a line is coming from the mount of Moon and joining in. So benefits coming to this particular lady, and another small line kind of again joins in. So this particular line could be help coming or benefits coming to this particular person, even this particular portion. So this is a very 25 era, and this is could be 28 period. So this is what this particular hand depicts. Generally, we don't need to go any further. You just need to look at the mercury line. That's it. If we look closely, she also has got another line like this out here. So there's two mercury lines. So this basically is adding up, and the benefits increases, probably the skills also increase. This area is a little bit risen. It is the area of honor, administration, politics, and upward line. So honor can become in a private sector job or in a government sector job. So understanding of how politics work basically is good in her case. And you just take a look at the left hand, and then we will end this particular video. These upward lines were also seen in the right hand. This upward line from the lifeline moving towards the Mount of Jupiter, again a good indication. These people can go in IAS or IPS or any administrative service, or not necessarily those, but even private sector, and that there too the person is likely to get respect. A special sign can be seen, a star on the Mount of Sun. This again is considered to be good, but a person doesn't need to have a star to be successful. Just a simple kind of a line in itself is good enough. Even if you don't have even a single line, that doesn't mean that you would not have any career, but provided there should be no line at all, then basically the result basically increases. This particular headline is out here, and a little bit downward kind of a line is mentioned out here. So some disappointment might, imagine the head of a person is out here, and a branch from the head is kind of hanging down, and a weight is hanging down below. The same goes to the headline. A branch downward means like it's kind of straining you, it is kind of bringing in disappointment. And the age could be approximately the intersection was 35, so this period could be 33, 34. That's the period, I would say. A good sign that, but downward line is bad, but the upward line that you see on the headline moving towards the Mount of Sun, this is a beautiful line. Upward lines are always like, this is your head and somebody is like kind of pulling you upward, and like it is bringing you out from disappointment. It is something happening in your life which is bringing more optimism, energy, stamina, everything. Your life basically turns, and the age could be approximately 35. That's the age, and that's the period where the main money line is ending and two are developing out here. So a beautiful hand out here, and that's it in this particular hand. Thanks, bye, take care. And if you like the video, do give a like button, and thanks for watching. Subscribe to my channel, give your comments, good or bad, whatever it might be. Before I end this particular video, people ask, what about my fate line? Does it tell about my money, possessions, wealth? You can come to know about money from any possible line: heart, head, your sun line, your heart, any possible area of your palm. The money line importance is just 15% in any person's case. People give too much of importance to the money line. Money line is just giving 15% value to your money. So too much of importance is given to the money line, and a saint once said, you do not need to go to an astrologer or a palmist to know about your future, because you already know your future. Present is a result of past. How will be my future? Future depends upon what you are doing in the present. What are we? We are product of our thoughts. So the thoughts that come to our mind are important. Keep positive people around you. do the right thing. Even if your hand does show some negative aspect, those might not apply provided you are in the right company. So company matters the most, and even the negative aspects might not show up in your hand. That's it for now. Bye. Take care.